Happy Sunday! Welcome to Let's Talk About You. And happy VI History Month. And we can't forget about the ladies. Happy Women's History Month. Today, we're going to have a wonderful time. We're going to talk to our very own lady of the hour, Jessica Whyte. And we're going to talk about her institute, about her, the great things that she's doing, the impact she as a woman is making right here and making history in the Virgin Islands. But let's get some housekeeping out the way. Let's talk about our two sponsors, Kiki Creations and Infinitely Me. Our other sponsor, Infinitely Me. She makes great jewelry. All you have to do is print Let's Talk, and she will give you a percentage off. So please make sure you support our sponsors. All righty, now let's get into it. Without further ado, I know you guys enjoy seeing me, but let's talk about what's going on here in our community and make history today with Miss Jessica Whyte.
Hey, good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Miss Whyte. Welcome to Let's Talk About You. I am honored and privileged to have you here as our guest today. I want you to tell our guests more about Jessica Whyte and what you stand for. Tell us.
Okay. Well, thank you so much once again for having me here this afternoon. I am Jessica Whyte, a licensed professional counselor here in the Virgin Islands. However, more importantly, I am a woman of color, born and raised here in St. Thomas, Virgin Islands. Um, I am a mom of four adult children. And also, I come from a large family, which I am the last of eight. And I just say that because that's really where everything that I do comes from, not just being a woman, but a woman of color, coming from a large family, having a large family myself. But that's a little bit about me, and I guess we can get to know some more in the interview.
Yes, and I too came from a big family. You're number eight, I'm number seven. There were two
Wow.
after me. So I know how it is about being in a big family. And what is so great about mental health? I think mental health is a stigma. People are still um, putting it in a box about what it is to have a mental illness, and that mental health is really an illness, and that we have it here in our small community. And being in the Virgin Islands, I've always been an advocate for, like, we need to do something. I know personally I haven't done what I need to do, but I am so glad that you are, and I'm glad that not only are you doing something, you're thinking outside the box of so many ways that we can help those that we see. And this institute, tell us what made you come up with or found this organization, this nonprofit.
So, as you're aware, as you mentioned, that I come from a large family. Unfortunately, one of my siblings have a mental illness. As such, I grew up with this sibling with this mental illness. So I understand what it's like. I understand the stigma that exists. Quite frankly, I was young at the time, and it was early on in the 70s when knowing a lot about mental illness was not known. So what we understood was he acted differently at varied times, and eventually there was a psychotic break. And over the years, we have worked with him, provided the love and support that's needed, um, to the point now today that he does live on his own, not without assistance, but with all the love and support from not just family, but friends, individuals within the community that provide that support. And that support was not readily available. A lot of times, because of the stigma, we've heard things like, he just needs somebody to give him a good beating, right? Take a bull bud. um, a lot of times people will say that, maybe he's just lazy, or he just needs to get it together, and there's nothing such as something is wrong with him, right? And that just goes to show you how um,
Unaware we are.
unaware and not in touch, but we're really just we're in a place where we just have not come to the place of acceptance. And so our family came to that point of acceptance a long time ago, because I can tell you, I recall having those times in school where I didn't even want to tell people that that was even my brother. So I understand it, and that's what makes what I do so much more impactful, because I have the lived experience where individuals can relate to me. When I share my personal story, they're able to relate to that and take hold of it and understand that they are not alone. They are not alone. So, with all that being said, understanding the challenges that he've experienced over the years, I just wanted to do something, because I've watched my mom from the time I was 8 take care of him. And when no one wanted to, she was his champion. She championed and advocated valiantly for him, for others in this particular position. And so, because of that, I wanted to really give back something to her legacy, because it's not many families that do it, right? Sometimes you see individuals that's out on the street and you think to yourself, well, perhaps their family don't care. It's not that they don't care, they just are unaware and they don't know what they can do.
Hmm.
So the Institute was birthed out of that. It's named after my brother, who had mental illness from the time he was an adolescent, maybe about 19 or so, and currently up until now. Of course, it's not something necessarily based on the diagnosis that goes away, but we love him and we care for him. And this is just truly a testament to the work that my mom has done and what my family continues to do for mental illness.
Well, that is a great driving force, and it's good that when you come as a family to put forth the care that is needed, and you close out the outside noise, because a lot of times, we get consumed with the outside noise, and like you said, you were embarrassed, so you didn't want to, and those are some of the things that we, in addition to that, you do hear all the outside things about the beating and what they need, or they this or they that. So it's definitely admirable that you're not only doing this for your mom and doing this for your brother, but you're doing this for our community. And I
Yes.
say thank you, because it is a champion work to do that. But have you, in forming this organizations, have there been any challenges that you have encountered with running this organization? And how old is it?
So, let me first step back a little bit. First and foremost, I want to say that I just returned back to the Virgin Islands from Atlanta, and the reason why I decided to come back was because I saw a lot of different things that were happening here. And I understood, one day I was driving to meet one of my clients, and I was just like, why am I even here? These are some of the same things that we need back home. And so I started on this crusade to really give back. But when I got back, the situation was so grave. And every day I look around and I see a new face that's on the street, and somebody else that's just people are just talking about them. They're looking at them like really, why are they even there, kind of thing. And so that's one of the reasons why I wanted to. This was birthed several years back, and once I came back to the Virgin Islands, working in the field, I decided that this was something that was necessary. Everybody does not have health insurance.
Mm.
Other individuals, they may have a family, but those families may not be aware of what you can do to assist individuals who have such mental illnesses. Our government, um, as well intentioned as they are, sometimes their hands are tied. And so the resources that they have may not go as far as we want them to go. And
True.
so this nonprofit organization has been brought to the forefront as a way to provide a continuum of care, right? Is to be able to provide case management services for individuals who need that type of support. Here's the thing: if you have an individual who, let's say, recently released from prison, and they come out from prison, where do they go? Right? They already have a record. Um, how are they supposed to get back into or acclimate into regular day to day living?
Right.
Right? They may not have IDs, they may not have any type of support, no type of resource. What do they do? So for individuals, what happens? Some of them, most of them, they commit another crime that sends them right back.
Because that's all they know. And
That's
so that's some of the initiatives that your organization
Yes,
does. Okay.
yes. So let me just say, so the Sinclair Institute has four main tenets.
Okay.
One, which is homelessness. Two, mental illness for the uninsured and underinsured. Three, substance use disorder, and last but not least, prison aftercare for individuals recently released from prison. This is important to be able to provide that continuation, a continuum of care for individuals who don't know what they need to do.
Right.
So we help them with taking them through the different channels to get IDs, helping them to fill out applications to get medical assistance, food stamps and all those things for those individuals who do qualify for Social Security. Help them and walk them through the process. Because what we understand to be true is that the system can be daunting at times. And
Yes.
so
And intimidating. Yes.
if they have not built up those necessary skills to be able to withstand when those challenges come against them, they're going to stop. They're not going. They're going to say, you know what, I give up. I just don't want to do this anymore. And that has always been the cry. So the
Right.
Sinclair Institute wants to be able to provide that support to our community. But more important than that, we are planning to. We are going out into the community, meeting with the
That was
home.
going to be one of my next questions. So yes, so some of the community initiatives.
Yes, we're going into the
But
community.
before we get to the community initiatives, I do want to ask because I do know some, well, there are a lot of people because we're a small community. But one of the things that I've heard families say is, I've tried to go get them, but they don't want to leave. They want to stay there.
Mhm.
Are there services that you provide to assist with that as well?
So let me just say this, and I can understand why they don't want to go, right? If one of the things about individuals who have mental illness, they, especially those more pervasive ones, they experience thought distortions, they experience psychotic features that comes. What does that really mean, right? Those terms, well, psychotics where they're hallucinating. Hallucination can come visual, auditory, smell, all the five senses. Those are hallucinations. Also, thought disorder, where they are not thinking clearly, and so they feel and believe that somebody's out to get them. So even if they have a home, they have a family, they are not comfortable being there because the thought that they're receiving in their head is that they're out to get them, unfortunately. So how do we reach those people? It's called by building rapport.
So you're gonna have to go visit them several times at the spot that they
In
frequent.
where they are. We have to meet them where they are because they are not aware, right? And so by us constantly engaging with them, because let's just be honest, we don't just go out there to talk to homeless individuals. That is just the truth. Unfortunately, we just don't, right? We all go about our daily lives. There's a few individuals who do, but they're few and far in between. But most importantly, we want to be able to gain their trust so
Mhm.
then they can trust us and say, well, you know what, maybe I may not go into this building, but I'm able to listen to what you have to say. Maybe I might be able to go to an appointment, or maybe I can talk through what I'm experiencing. A lot of my clients who I know who have psychotic disorders, one of the things that they want to know is that somebody actually hears them and that they believe what they are saying because they believe these things to be true. So the
So
answer to your question is yes. We are going out into the community to help those individuals to get the type of support that they need.
that's great. That's awesome. So the manpower that's needed, because that's a big undertaking. Because to have persons to come into your office is one thing, but for you to do the legwork out in the community.
Yeah.
So your staffing is huge, or you're growing as you come.
Yes, we are growing. And I have had individuals within the community who have experienced challenges in the past and who've said, hey, Miss Whyte, we would really love to help and to support this. And for this, I am truly, truly grateful. Um, I was not aware that so many individuals were willing to step up to the plate and say, hey, we want to help. And they have been coming, and I'm very thankful for that support.
I'm very thankful that you have the initiative, because for a lot of people, it's not, they don't always know the know-how to get it started. But once it's started, they can assist. So I'm glad that you have that community that's building up. Ladies and gentlemen, we're here live with Jessica Whyte of the St. Clair Institute. If you have any questions for Miss Whyte, this is a interactive conversation. So it's just not she and I speaking. Come on, put any comments or any questions that you have, Miss for Miss Whyte. We can see them right here. So, in promoting or you were going on to say about the five facets about the Sinclair Institute. So you go ahead.
So, no, I provided the four tenets of the Sinclair Institute: the homelessness, substance use disorder, mental illness, or should I say mental health support, counseling, that is, and also prison aftercare. Those are the four main things that we do. Um, I think you were alluding to our upcoming
Not
fund.
yet. Not yet. I
Okay.
will, but not yet. I really want to get to the nitty gritty, because we're here in the Virgin Islands, and I want us, as I said, I know that you're making history. We're here in Women's History Month, and you're a female, like you stated. You're a Black West Indian woman, and we have this issue here. And too many times we've had the stigma of, let's beat the person, or just pray over them, they'll be fine.
Yeah.
Those are the unaware. Some of the unaware are uninformed comments that are made, and people need help. And you come back home to make the staple, and this, what you're doing is great. And one of the things that I have been saying for VI History Month, I mean, I admire so many of our great persons that went on before us and made staples and things that they've done, but we as individuals are making history in our everyday lives once we're a part of this community. And what you're doing is making history right now by having this organization and your career, what it is that you do to help your fellow man. So that in itself is to be commended. And you are making VI history every single day. So don't take anything lightly. It's making a great impact. So it couldn't have come at a better time for us to speak. We're doing two in one. We're
Thank you.
doing two in one. So I don't want to allude to our big event yet. I
Okay.
want you to really inform our audience about everything that you're saying. You said about the four facets of the institute, the
Yes.
type of psychotic breaks, things that can be done. But I really want to get into the services also about those that were in prison and your assistance in helping them become vital persons within the community so they can go out and get things done. Because I work in the legal field as well. And sometimes, not all the time, but there's one or two criminal cases that come through the door. And after they're finished, it's then what?
Mhm. And that's where we come in, because the reality is, um, individuals believe, well, at least let me go back. I understood when the my brother had his very first psychotic break. We thought that he would go to the hospital, and when he got all better, came back home, and he was the same person that we knew after a while, right? However, several months later, about a year later, he had another break. And so I think once he was released from the hospital, they gave him medication. And of course, we didn't understand that he had to take the medication for the rest of his life. So he would take the medication finished, it was not renewed or whatever the case is. And so he continued on with regular daily living. But then he started decompensating, where all the same symptoms that were present the first time came back. They came back. And so were not aware of it. Like, we did not have the system where from the hospital where they met with the family and say, hey, listen, he has this type of mental illness. This is what's going to happen, and this is what you need to do. Well, the Sinclair Institute proposes to do just that. What we want to do is to let you understand what the mental illness is all about, and how you, as a family, as a community, can be able to assist individuals who are experiencing these challenges. Some mental health disorders will require you to take medication for the rest of your life. I wish that we didn't have that. But let me just put a pin right here, because in our community in the Caribbean, we do not believe in medication. We don't. And so, because of that, we feel like, okay, well, the symptom is gone. And so, therefore, I don't need to take it again. Well, let me ask the question for those individuals who have diabetes or high blood pressure, do you not take the medication until the doctor say not to anymore? How about acid reflux? Do you take medication for acid reflux? And let me just not just go any further in terms of, you go to the doctor said, well, oh, you have X, Y, and Z, STI, whatever it is, we do as the doctor indicate. Why is it when there's a chemical imbalance in the brain, we tend to feel that it's okay that, nah, not going to do that. Not going to do that. So, what we want to do is to really help these individuals to come to a place of understanding where they can understand, hey, this is what we're faced with. We may not like it, but here's what we can do. Here are other options that we can look at in order to take care of that.
Well, that's good to know. I mean, when you were asking those questions, I was thinking in my head as to the answers because, yes, the point is we're still unaware and we still don't think it's I can't say it's not a real thing. I think right now, COVID was a horrible thing, but it brought to the forefront so many things that we had to put a band aid on or we didn't know existed.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't realize that they needed that human touch
Yeah.
and the fact that they were by themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They had psychotic breaks because they were not accustomed to being by themselves and not associating with persons. Okay, there's a question. Hi, Dr. White and Camilla. Are there any signs that we can look out for to recognize when our loved ones are having a psychotic break?
Yes, I am so glad. That's an excellent question. This past week, I had a young lady was referred to services, and not to the Sinclair Institute, but my private practice. And she came in and she looked normal. She looked normal. And in having a conversation with her, I recognized right away that there was something that was not in touch with true reality, right? So you're asking, what are some signs or what are some things that you can see that an individual may display when they're having a psychotic break? Well, one of the things that that individual thought that everybody was against them. Another thing that she thought was, okay, I feel that something happened to me. I can't prove it, but I just know what it feels like in my body, right? It sounds weird, but oftentimes when we listen to individuals and they have those conversations, you can tell that there is something that's amiss. Something is not just correct. And then she shared a lot of different things with me, and I won't go into it because I don't want to reveal who the individual is. But I just know that there are things that they say that just does not sound accurate. Another example, a young man told me. He said, "I am Janet Jackson's husband." That's what he said. He was, I believe, 17 at the time, and he said, Janet Jackson is my wife, and I am ageless. I'm Jesus himself. And so I understood that he was truly not in touch with reality. Was I gonna tell him, dude, no, you're wrong? I didn't. I met him where he was, and I said, okay, I understand. Wow, okay. So let's continue and let's talk about this, because he just wanted to somebody to say, I hear you and I understand. Now, after several months working with that guy, believe it or not, I one day I was like, you know what, your birthday's coming up. Oh snap, I forgot. You don't have a birthday. And he started laughing. He busted out laughing. I was like, why are you laughing? He said, yeah, Miss Whyte, I was tripping. I was tripping. I really was tripping. And those are the type of stories that I prefer to hear, where I was able to meet him where he was, and him coming back to a place of, yes, something was truly wrong with me. I can see the difference, right? As opposed to just moving on down the same path. But uh, back to the question that was asked, what are some of the symptoms? We can tell based on the questions, the things that they say, right? They typically feel that somebody's out to get them, right? Some of the conversations that they have is usually persecutory in nature. It sometimes can be where very religious, where they feel like God is angry with them or something of the sort. Just things just don't necessarily align. And then another thing that you can see is that their hygiene tends to be one of the first things to go off, where you see them, they look a lot different. Another thing you can see is that you can tell sometimes when they're stimulated. And when I say stimulated, where they're having an internal conversation, you can look at them and see like they're having an internal conversation. Sometimes some people, they shake their head, or they can seem like they're thinking. Those are those internal stimulus that they experience. That's something else that we can tell that is wrong. Another thing is that they do things that are out of the norm for them. So if they're usually are very social individuals, they may isolate and withdraw themselves. They may just pull away. They don't want to be around individuals because, of course, what we know to be true with psychotic disorders, with having all that stimulation, they cannot be in a crowd of individuals because it's just too much for them. Imagine what they experience, Camilla, where they are talking one on one, like we are having a one on one conversation, but they have 100 other voices in their head.
Yeah, that sounds
That
like
can
torture.
be, yes, and it is torture for them, and it is overwhelming, quite frankly. And another thing, and so those are all a lot of the signs and symptoms. People tend to say that it's their fault and different things like that. Well, I'm going to say this: whoever signs up for some type of illness that is debilitating and causes them to not be in touch with reality, or nobody wanting to relate to them on a day-to-day basis, nobody ever elects and say, I want to do that, right?
Right.
So, empathy is definitely needed. But those are the symptoms that we need to look out for. Um,
What about starting with disorders? OCD, you know, I'm not going to lie. As people still haven't sold me on ADHD, I'm not even going to pretend. I do believe in mental illness, but that one, it's still questionable for me. Um, but when you have certain characteristics that you're not anal, but you're just overly excessive doing something and
mhm,
or not doing something. So
right.
what about those disorders?
So, okay, excellent. So what you've asked about is more one of those mental illnesses that we can live with, that is not as pervasive and debilitating as with schizophrenia or some of those psychotic disorders. So when you're talking about anxiety, you're talking about that excessive worry, and where we feel that I have to do certain things in order for life to be okay. Like I had a young lady, when I lived in Atlanta, she would tell me I have to tap the door 3 times before I open the door, because if I don't, my parents, something will happen to them. Or I have to wash my hands 20 times in a day, or else something can go wrong. I might be able to catch a disease or something. Those are disorders that are they are annoying more than anything else, because you can pull back from going places and meeting with other people, but it's not one of those well, it is much more annoying than anything else. Can it be cured? Can it be is something that we can get a handle on? Absolutely we can. Yes, we can use medication management. Yes, we can do psychotherapy or other different therapeutic modalities we can do. But they can get to that place of being very, very debilitating as well, though, if we
Where
don't.
let our listening audience know where your office is located.
Sure. So my office is located behind the hospital in the VI Medical Foundation building. We're on the second floor, Suite 210. Yeah, and we're here changing lives every day, because what we do, I don't take it for granted, because I know individuals out there are struggling every single day just to be able to get through whatever challenges they're experiencing.
And as I mentioned before about COVID, was there an uptake in clientele since then for you?
Yes, quite frankly, yes. I recall when COVID occurred, and I closed my office just like everybody else was closing, and I closed the office. And so, what I reached out to all of our clients and say, "Hey, listen, we know that you do have an appointment this upcoming week. We're not quite sure how things are going, but we do have the virtual platform that we can utilize." And everybody was like, "Nah, I don't want to do it. Don't want to do it." Well, when you come back, just let us know that you're back. And so 1 week passed, and 2 weeks passed, and I started getting the phone calls.
Mm.
Right, I started getting the phone calls saying, "Hey, I really thought that this was gonna be able to just blow over easily, but I think I'm gonna need a session." And so individuals started doing sessions virtually. We did some over the phone. We did some via Zoom. right? Just like a similar platform that we're on right now. And yes, we did see an increase in individuals having that uptake. They're unable to cope with life. Um, we're social creatures, right? And so we
Yes.
feed off of each other. And so a lot of times you hear individuals say, well, I really don't need that. I could be by myself. But it's one thing being by yourself, and there's another thing where you have no choice but to be by yourself.
Exactly. There was a choice because I know I can attest, and I've said it before. For me, I had COVID when it was for the first week, and you had to be out for the 10 days. I did not handle that well. It was
Mm-hmm.
not good for me. I even called a number. I didn't know that you had your practice then. So,
Mm-hmm. That's,
and I called, and they were too busy, and I'm like, I
yeah,
need someone to talk to. It
yeah,
was not good for me.
yeah,
And they said, we've had an increase in clientele, yada, yada, yada. So I totally get it. And I decided this is one of the reasons why Let's Talk About You came into being because I needed to talk.
yeah. It is,
And it started during COVID, and I was good after I started talking, talking,
yeah,
talking.
yeah. Interestingly, and I always tell this story, and my daughter, if she's hearing me, she's probably going to be, Ma, why you say that? But anyway, she was finishing up high school at the time, and I recall they went out on, to do school at home. And so she would get up and she would do the virtual, and then she would go back to bed. And all of it, after a while I was like, okay, she's sleeping a little bit way too much. What's going on? So I started asking her a question. Is my stomach hurt? My stomach hurt. And I said, well, it so tell me, what is it that you're really, is it a stabbing pain? And I started inquiring. Eventually there was really no reason why she was experiencing the pain that she had. And so I went back in and I said to her, I said, why are you stressing? And she blurted out, because she can. And so then I recognized, okay, you hit it on the nail. She was stressed and she was really depressed. And so I said to her, I said, well, you have your friends in class, call them up and talk with them or whatever. But she didn't want to talk to them.
She wanted
So
to
I
see
told
them.
her, I said, you know what? Tell you what, I'm going to be in my room. When you are ready to talk, come. And so she came in the room eventually. A few hours later, she sat down on the foot of the bed and she just blurted out crying. I just can't do this, ma. I can't do this. I can't do this. And so I kind of walked her through it, talked her through it. And eventually, I want to say within a few days, her and that she was back up to her normal self. But here's the thing, she was lucky that she had a mom with the skill set to
Experience,
help her,
yes.
through that process. But a lot of individuals didn't have that support that she had. And yes, there was indeed an uptick in individuals wanting to be seen because of COVID. And here's the thing, because even I have done a lot of trainings and different things like that. And one of the things that I've always said is that what we should do is to reach out to individuals. We are now a generation where we text a lot and we Facebook a lot and Instagram a lot and Snap a lot and TikTok a lot, and
Yes, modern
not
technology a lot.
right, and we are not really talking, we're not really talking to each other. So one of the things that I advise individuals is, listen, call your friends, your family, your loved ones. You haven't spoken to them in some time, call them up, and as much as you can, call them on video. Let them know that you still love and care. And I can't tell you how many people have come back to me and say, Miss White, that was so awesome. It was life changing. Just imagine the look on people's faces when you called via video and they were like,
Yes,
you called me? Yeah. Because, it is so separating. It's so isolating that
yes.
nobody really wants to be there. When we do it by choice, that's one thing. But when we have to, that's something different.
Exactly, exactly. It's the have to and the choice, and it does make a difference. And I am so glad that you have this Institute, I'm glad of what it is that you do, because mental illness is a real thing and we need help. And you're right, we're seeing too many new faces out there. And I'm glad that you're going out in the community. Is there a way that our listening audience, someone that wants to be a part of, can call you and say, hey, I too want to go out with you, or whatever it is? What can I do to help? How can they do that?
Certainly. We do have individuals who are here in office that really spearheads that type of initiative. So they can give us a call. Our number is 340-774-2972. That number once again is 340-774-2972. And you can always call and say, hey, listen, I would love to assist. I would love to be a volunteer. And we will definitely be able to, once everything aligns, we would definitely be able to utilize your support.
Yes, once everything aligns, because you do have to screen them first, of course. So, as we're getting into this, um, having the foundation, let's talk about things that you do, initiatives that you do to bring awareness for your institution.
So when you say awareness, what are we talking about?
We're talking about that fabulous thing that's coming up soon.
Okay, great, great, great. I thought we would never get here, but no, just kidding. So, one of the things that we do at the Clair Institute is we survive on the generous donations of organizations and companies within our community. And so, with that being said, we are having our largest, or should I say, the bigger fundraiser that we would normally have. Um, this year, of course, we do it once a year, and that is gala. This year, we have the theme, which is the Gatsby theme. It's a night of opulence, or should I say, vintage Vogue, Night of Opulence, and that will be at the Coral World Aquamarine. Yes, there you go.
Yes, yes. I
Yes,
was
yes,
asked, yes.
yes. So we are having that fundraiser is going to have a silent auction there, as well as we're going to have individuals such as Miss Desretta Jackson from the color purple. She will be here, as well as Lieutenant Governor Tregenza Roach. He will also be there as our keynote speakers. So we are looking forward to individuals coming out who want to support the Clair Institute and support what we're doing here in the community. I think this is just a excellent opportunity for individuals who want to support the cause of reducing the stigma and just being able to provide that support system, that continuum of care for individuals who need it within our community.
So, can you tell us a little bit about our special guest, Ms. Jackson from the Color Purple? What was her role?
So she was Miss Seeley in the color purple, the original one. And she hails from the Virgin Islands. And so, not the US, but the
The
Virgin Islands.
British Virgin Islands.
Yes. And so we thought that it would be so fitting to have her come and support us here because, we wanted somebody who have the cause for mental illness. And so we wanted to really highlight that somebody from this area who would be able to help us out on a national level. And as you are aware, Lieutenant Governor Tregenza Roach,
Yes.
Esquire, he will also be there. And I think it was important for him to be there because he understands the unique challenge that we experience here in the territory.
Yes.
Albeit, I know that I know somebody posted yesterday about having a state of emergency regarding mental illness, and still things are the way that they are. But it's important to understand what are some of the unique challenges that we experience within the community. And he would be able to speak towards that. And as a community, we can come together to raise the gauntlet and really be able to toot that horn to say, hey, listen, this is something that's going on in our community. And I think if we all just roll our sleeves up and we can move forward with the charge in being able to provide this support.
Excellent. That is just awesome. And I am excited about it. So are we having entertainment? What type of entertainment will there be?
Yes, we are having Climax Band. They're going to be there. But I think so they're going to be there. They're going to be providing music. It's going to be a elegant event. We'll have the cocktail hour, and then we're going to have a plated dinner. So they would be able to come out and support. More importantly, there will be an opportunity for individuals, organizations who want to come and donate
Okay.
funds, and then there's also the silent auction. So we have many different um, items that we have for auction that we're just hoping that individuals just come with their pockets loaded, who are ready to just support. Because I think with us just all banding together as a community, we can all do this work. I remember about a year or more ago, I was asked speaking to this the head of this organization, and what he shared with me was, he's like, Jessica, this situation, this is so huge, this is so big.
Yes.
And I said, yes, it is. He said, well, if I give something, it just won't seem like enough, you know? And so I told him, I said, well, I hear you, I understand, but we have to do something. So although we start out small, we would be able to do something much bigger. Um, as we move forward. One
Yeah.
thing that we have already, Miss Camilla, which I need to highlight here, is that we were gifted a property here. Yes, yes.
Congrats.
We've been gifted a property here in St. Thomas. And then there's also one on St. Croix as well. But these
Wonderful.
properties need to be rehabilitated. It need to be retrofitted for what we need for these individuals. So the one on St. Thomas, what we want to do is we are indeed collaborating with other organizations such as the Methodist Outreach Program, social Catholic Charities, my brother's workshop, Resource Center. We are collaborating with them because they also have programs that can aid individuals in this area. What they don't have is that component of mental illness, right? So we are collaborating with them. So the home on St. Thomas, we're not having it as a residential facility, not at this point. What we want to do more than anything else, we want to have a but I can't even think now. We want to have a pantry, a food pantry, where
Okay.
individuals will be able to come and get food, not meals, but different foods, right? Um, then we also will have a clothing rack where individuals who are maybe living on the street may need to obtain some clothing. We will also have some showers available for individuals who are on the street, that they can utilize this place, that they can freshen themselves up
Wonderful.
forward. And we will also have a computer lab. And that computer lab is to help people to become job ready, to teach them how to work a computer, how they would be able to get emails and all these things, simple things that we take for granted,
Yes.
that SCI, future SCI home will be able to provide them. So I am super excited about that. And this is one of the bigger push and thrust of this gala, so that we are able to raise funds to be able to support that along with the programs that we have
That is
already.
exciting. That is exciting. And I'm glad that the fact that you even have you're considering having this facility to have the showers
Yeah,
and to have them being able to sit down and become ready, not just for the job, but just ready themselves, because this is a technical world and you have to have some
yeah,
type of device
yeah,
to move
yeah, yeah.
forward. So, with regards to the companies that you mentioned that are donating stuff for silent auction, if there's a company or anyone that has a business, is it too late for someone to have an item for auctioning?
It's not too late, actually. This is the last week of us collecting items. So they can reach out to the office. Again, the number is 340-774 2972. Reach out to us and let us know, hey, we do have something that we would like to put up for auction. Also, there's another way that they can support this initiative. We do have a booklet, a sponsorship booklet that they can purchase an ad. And if they so choose, they can do that. And that's another way of them being able to support this initiative.
What is the deadline for them to place an ad in the booklet?
The deadline is the 25th of March.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, listening audience, I'm here with Dr. Jessica Whyte of the St. Clair Institute. She is a mover and a shaker. She's doing great things, something that has been needed, is needed, and she is putting on those boots and hitting the ground running, literally, to make our Virgin Islands a better place. She's definitely creating history here, right here in St. Thomas. And I should say in the Virgin Islands, period, because your institute is not just for St. Thomas, it will be in St. Croix as well.
That's
And
correct.
she is having this great gala, which will be held at one of my staple childhood places, Coral World. I love Coral World. It brings back so many great memories. So I am glad that you're having it there. I took my first field trip to
Oh,
Coral World. So, and that's one of my daughter's plays. As old as she is, she truly enjoys going to Coral World. So, if anyone wants to be a part of and come out to this exquisite event, on Saturday, April 6th. It is not too late. We will be providing the number later down, but you see, you can get your tickets. All the information is right there. Miss White and her staff are there waiting for you to call them to purchase tickets. I know there are lots of business organizations and individuals that have items that they would love for it to be auctioned. And you too will be creating history by making the St. Clair Institute, the building, possible because we need it. We
yeah.
need it. It's not just for luxury vases, it's something that is needed. So, come on, this is a call to action for everyone here in the Virgin
It
Islands.
is, Camilla. There's one other thing I didn't mention that will be a part of the house. It's they'll have rooms for one-on-one counseling and group counseling as well. And I think that's also important. And one other final piece to that is they will have like a recreation room where they can just meet other people like themselves. And I
And that's
think that's
phenomenal because everyone needs
important.
community. They
Yes.
need that community. Oh,
Yes.
yes. I am so honored to be a part of this. Kiki Creations will be there. So thank you so much for having us to be a part of this initiative. And I know that everything that you're doing here is you're inspiring me to want to do more. So outside of what I will be doing, I definitely want to be a part of it. So we're going to talk more about what it is that I can do to be a
Yes.
part of it. And if you guys have any questions, I'm here with Dr. Jessica White with regards to mental illness, what signs to look out for, how can we help our individuals or persons that we know, because this community is very small and someone knows someone that is suffering. And if you do, I mean, we have it right here for free because not everyone can afford having the services that are provided. So if you have one question, please feel free to just pose your question. Someone did send me a question via text. I don't know why they didn't send it on, but I am going to read it here. And in addition to, it's a follow up to the question that was posed. How can you help once you see that your family is struggling?
So that's another good question. I think one of the first things that you want to do is to let them know, one, that they are not alone. Two, that you're there to help and support them. You may not understand what they are dealing with, but just being that voice for them, to listen to them and let them know that you understand what, or you hear what they're saying that they're experiencing, that goes a long way, right? It speaks volumes for them. Another thing that you can definitely do is let them know that, it may be important for them to get some help from a professional. It depends on how long. Now, let me pause here for a moment. If somebody's experiencing some type of challenge, whether it's depression, anxiety, um, moods, varied moods, and other things like that, what do you do? Um, what happens when, we've just had, and I say just because some of us are still experiencing symptoms from that. We had the two
Yes.
category 5
Yes.
storms in 2017. And I often bring it up because a lot of individuals are still struggling since then. You know, we did have I was a part of another organization where we did crisis counseling immediately after the storms. And one of the things we shared was, if you've experienced these symptoms 6 months after, as if it had just began, then chances are you have a mental illness that we need to now seek professional help. And so, if somebody who's experienced something, whether it's grief, depression, and they're seeing that it's past 2 weeks, then it's time for them to reach out and get a professional, someone who can talk them through the situation. Another thing that seems to be very prevalent here in our community is individuals are feeling rather suicidal. In times past, we've often said that, it's usually from a different race, not our folks, but we have individuals who are experiencing suicidal ideation, and we want to be able to support these individuals. But it sounds like, I wish I could just go to sleep and never wake back up. I wish if I was not here that, things would be better for my family. And let me just pause here. I think yesterday we've had something tragic that happened within our community, where somebody um, jumped off of the waterfront with their 9-year-old child. Yeah. And it seemed, what I've seen, some of the different things I've seen and heard on Facebook, is individuals are saying that maybe she weren't, she was mentally challenged or having some difficulty at the time. But the point of the matter is, individuals experience these things, and sometimes we suffer in silence because we feel we are not understood. And we're going to be seen as somebody that's crazy, and somebody that no one wants to hear about. And so I want to share, when we do see individuals experiencing a lot of these symptoms, these signs, we want to be able to reach out to them and say, hey, listen, I got you. Let us go to X, Y, and Z. Let us do something about it, and let them know that they are not alone.
That's good to know because I do have a friend that every time it rains really hard, she really gets depressed. And I have talked to her several times on the phone, but I will definitely tell her it's time for her to speak to someone.
Yeah. Yeah. It's difficult. It's really
Yeah.
difficult. And I think we had a question. Did I answer it, or?
Yeah, you did. It was a
Oh,
question that I posed,
okay.
and
Okay.
Crystal is just phenomenal like that. She put it up on
Yeah,
the screen.
yeah. So yeah, so we want to be able to really address those individuals with those challenges. And another thing we have here a lot of is depression.
Hmm. It's real.
Depression. And individuals believe that they're not depressed because they go to work every single day. They We can be depressed and go to work every day, but the way that depression looks for us is, we are angry and we're irritable, where there's a pervasive sadness that we experience. We're helpless, hopeless, we feel worthless, guilty. There's so much that we experience that it's important for us to reach out. I might go to work, yes, every day, but some individuals, they go to work and then for the next few days they're not at work, right? And they tend to just get into arguments over and over and over. So I think it's important for us to, when we start seeing a lot of those signs, to just, let them know, hey, listen, maybe now it's time. It's really
Well,
time.
I also honestly think that we should definitely make mental health care a part of our daily checkup. One thing that I've noticed now that when you do go for your checkup, doctors are asking, a list of questions. Do you have suicidal thoughts, or are you okay? So I was very impressed, and I was like, "Oh, you asked that now? That's a good thing." But
Yeah,
I
yeah,
really think, separate and apart from those line of questioning to check a box off, it
yeah.
should be for someone, just like how I get my cholesterol check. I need to speak to someone. It
Yeah,
definitely makes a
yeah,
difference.
it is, and that's a part of the initiative that we've had in the medical world, where they're asking for providers to ask those questions. I remembered where even my kids, when they were, getting into adolescent age, the doctors would say, "Okay, well, mom, you got to stay outside. We have to ask them this question," but we need to continue these conversations. Even in church, we have to continue
Yes.
these conversations,
True.
right?
You can't just pray
Because
about it.
yes, yes, and yes, because sometimes, yes, although we pray about it, because the same God that we pray to is the same God who gave us the
The
wisdom,
gifted.
right?
Yes. I
To do
agree.
so. It's important for us, yes, we may talk to the pastor, but and let me just share this. Some of the pastors who have shared with me, Miss White, we see a lot of these things happening in some of our individuals who come to church, but we just don't have the skill to deal with it. So even the pastors are saying, hey, we just can't,
Thank
so we have to be able to reach out.
Thank you for what you do. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So let's put up what's happening on April 6th, because before you know it, it's going to be April. I mean,
Yes.
today's the 17th of um, Crystal. Can you put back up the gala flyer for individuals that are interested in knowing what's coming up? How are we going to pay for this big Sinclair Institute building? This is how. Well, this is one of the ways.
Yes.
Purchase tickets, call the number, and let it run. Is there any other information that you want to let us know with regards to sponsorship or?
So a lot of individuals may not be able to attend, and I am mindful of that. If they're not, they can still support,
Okay.
right? They can always call, they can say, hey, listen, I know I'm not going to be able to come. Here, we can do this. I've had a friend of mine, he called me and he said, hey, Jessica, I think it's that time of year. Isn't it time for me to send you some money? I said, yeah. So I sent him the link, and he was able to donate. He is in Atlanta. So I'm saying all over, wherever you are able to do something for this population. And quite frankly, we're having this issue all over North America. So it's not just in the VI, but we know that if it's happening in North America at proportionate numbers, how much more is it happening here, right? And so I think it's important for us to be able to provide this level of support to individuals who don't have that support right now.
Ms. White, it is just such an honor and a privilege that you're here. And I can't believe it's been an hour here that we've talked. I mean, time just totally sped by. But I want you to hit one or two nuggets, staple pieces. It could be about the event, it could be about the services that are provided or will be provided at the Sinclair Institute, and the services that you provide at your personal practice. I want you to leave something with our listeners.
Okay. Um, so, like I said, I had this epiphany one day driving to work, and I thought to myself, you know what? This is something that I can do in our community. And I started on that crusade to get here because I know it was something that we needed. I was doing it in Atlanta, in Georgia. And not that I didn't love the work that I do, I did, but it's so much more personal for me being able to do it at home for our people. And I can honestly say that I have seen individuals come much more to services now than in the past. That's definitely important. But most importantly, I want us to support the Sinclair Institute because it is an organization in our community who wants to do for people within the community, that vulnerable population who do not have that support. It pains my heart to see when I go to court at times where individuals, I see elderly parents going with their son and daughter to court and have no clue as to what's happening and what's going on. There's individuals that's sitting in the prison system right now. Why? Because they have a mental illness and they have nowhere to go. This is happening all the time. And I want us to decide that the buck stops with us. Now is the time that we can do these things and help and support these individuals within our community.
Thank you so much for making history. Thank you so much for being a staple right here in the Virgin Islands. I salute you. I honor you in more ways than one. I look forward to working with you, not just for this upcoming event, but working to make a difference in the Virgin Islands to help our fellow men, women, and children with what's going on, because mental illness is a real thing. And the only way that we can do it is one step at a time. Little fills the bucket. So each
Yeah.
person, if we all come out and do one little task, you will be exactly where you need to be. Today, let's build a bridge that will take us from where we are to where we need to be. I thank you so much, Miss Whyte, for being a part of Let's Talk About You. I thank my sponsors, Kiki Creations and Infinitely Me, for being a part of and sponsoring us here. If you want to be a sponsor of Let's Talk About You, you can hit me up here on Facebook and on YouTube, all our social media avenues. I just want you to continue have a phenomenal day. I know that today is afternoon and the green, so if you missed us here live, we're always here. You can just click on the link on Let's Talk About You and watch us here. So stay blessed on purpose. Have a phenomenal week and thank you.
Thank you.